Welcome back, everybody. Well, look who's here. Dr. Paul Arciero. Mr. Health. It's wonderful. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Nice to have
It's
you.
great to be here.
Did you
Love sharing this information.
Did you bring the organic daffodils?
I was going to grab them and put them in my salad for lunch.
Oh, see, I knew you'd have a hook on that someplace.
Except a couple haven't bloomed yet.
So give them a chance to
give
live.
Them a chance.
Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And then we'll go in for the kill.
Hey, as you know, we've been dedicating a couple of these segments on what's organic. What does it mean? What kind of fruits and vegetables, meats, dairy, how it's certified. So this week, we're going to talk about local and how that fits in. We all have farmers markets on the weekends. They're great places to go to get fruits and vegetables and meats and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So let's start. Local, pretty obvious what we mean here. That means the local farmers from the area, right?
It does, yeah, and there's lots of contribution from those local farmers, right? And when you go to a farmer's market, we sometimes traditionally think that it's just the go-to vegetable or fruit, but there's lots of other items that they bring to the table, right? All those fresh herbs that are growing. We have eggs, we have dairy, we have cheese, we have jams, you name it, breads, that are all coming locally. And Jesse, really important, why I think I want to stress the emphasis on local, even sometimes more so than the traditional organic, is because of the process in which the food and the nourishment that comes from local provides people. And what I mean by that is it's slow.
Yeah, right. Slow food. I've
Slow,
heard that phrase.
yeah. I don't mean you.
No.
I mean the process of the slow,
Yes, you do.
of the production of the food. And that's really
Yes.
important. I mean, when we talk about fast food, it's that which we can stimulate and artificially drive its natural life course so that it produces what we want to have quicker. Well, in the process of getting to that end point of that vegetable, that tomato or that grape or that whatever the food item is, you bypass the natural life cycle of the food. And in doing so, you alter its natural chemistry. And so we know, and the evidence is there now very convincingly, that organic and even local provides a greater source of nourishment because of its natural life cycle of development. Think about the succulent juices and the taste quality of something that's been grown locally versus when you go and purchase it conventionally off the shelf at a grocery store. So there's real value. It's the nutrients from the soil that are providing all of that wonderful benefit to those foods, the polyphenolic compounds that we talked about, the antioxidants. I mean, all of this is really important for our body. It nourishes us. So I want to, my main point that we're talking about today is looking for foods that have been slowed down in their production life cycle process, as opposed to the fast, food that we typically purchase. The other thing is, what's interesting is that, and this is really cool when you think about it, the production of the food in its natural life cycle is very slow. But guess what? After it reaches that critical point of ripenedness and its maturity, it goes really quickly, right? I mean, you can't keep an organic or a local tomato on your kitchen table for too long. It's going to rot out pretty quick. So that's the beauty of buying local, because it helps support all of that which is around us naturally, and you have to keep it in that way. You have to keep, nourishing it. You have to keep, harvesting it. You have to keep consuming it. Whereas in this fast production of food, here's the irony, we can produce it really fast, and how long does it stay for?
For
years, for God's sake. I mean, you could keep the same apple, that's conventional, or the loaf of bread for a long time. I mean, what's going on there? So you can imagine the adulterated qualities that are found within those conventional food sources, and that should raise a concern. If it's lasting a long time in its shelf life, that's not proper. That's not the natural life cycle of a fruit. I'm sorry, you got me going.
Man, I'm telling you, you're very passionate about what you do, but boy, you were really on a roll there. It's true, though.
Yeah.
When you're altering the chemistry of any fruits and vegetables or whatever, two things happen that I just want to cycle back on for a second. That the process of it maturing is faster. And then, of course, it has the preservation. It lasts forever. Both those, that's a double-edged sword, because both those things are not necessarily healthy, right?
No, and you can imagine why we have this strong connection between things that we put into our body and the propensity or the risk for disease. I mean, if it's staying a long time on our kitchen counter, what's going on inside of our bodies
Yes, right, sure.
in terms of its potential to disrupt normal cellular activity inside the body. So, you know, I've been studying this. I'm passionate about it because there's an absolute proven scientific direct link between the quality of the foods that we eat and our risk for either health or disease.
Well, you know, one thing that makes me think about is, okay, so you go to a farmer's market, what kind of items should you look for? Now, you ran through them quickly. I want to go back over them a bit.
Yeah.
Dairy, cheese, eggs,
Right.
milk.
Right. I mean, so if it's local and there is some indication that it was either raised organic or it was out in the wild and free range in terms of some of the products that we just talked about with poultry and eggs and dairy and things like that, you know, free roaming, that's really good. You know,
Yeah,
it's coming from the local area. Fruits and vegetables, again, we talked about the quality difference of the compounds within the fruits and vegetables. So produce, top choice, you know, when you go to a farmer's market. And then things, if you are an egg eater, a cheese eater, a milk eater, buying that local, again, dairy products. But then there's also things like honey, you know, raised locally. So when the bees are pollinating on local flowers, there's some strong scientific evidence to suggest that your own immunity is boosted by choosing a honey that's been found locally.
Well, you know what? When I go to a commercial supermarket, I always try to get herbs. And then I look at them and they're all prepackaged and, you know, I just don't know enough about them to trust them. But I would imagine herbs, because a lot of times when we have these conversations, you always talk about the medicinal quality of herbs. What kind of herbs would you look for?
So you do listen.
I do listen,
Okay.
believe it or not. I just don't remember.
Well, we can go back a couple of shows, but I mean, the medicinal properties from some of these local herbs are too many to mention. But one of the things is that they, again, provide a natural time course of cell life in our own body. It's called apoptosis. I know. Are we going to get going on that one?
Can we go back to
apoptosis is kind of programmed cell death.
Yeah.
And what we don't want to have in our body is a really long programmed cell death to cells in many cases, and especially for things like cancer. You know, that's an abnormal cellular growth process, and you don't have normal cell death, and so that's why it begins to metastasize and grow. So there is some, you know, cellular evidence to suggest that these medicinal herbs and things that we put into our body help regulate that programmed cell death. So that's really healthy for us. It allows new cells to grow and then to die off and then to regrow. So those are some of the great properties of some of these. But then we all know that, you know, we talked about the immunity boosting components of some of these herbs. Inflammatory, right? That's a huge one. I mean, think about the number of health conditions that are associated with inflammatory states: diabetes, heart disease, rheumatoid arthritis, and neurodegenerative diseases in the brain. All of those are triggered by an inflammatory response. And so we have very strong evidence to suggest that some of these other herbs and things that are found are very useful in helping reduce that.
Boy, well,
I think it's time to go.
thank you for
Great stuff.
all this information. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go back and watch it online tonight,
All right,
try to
good.
catch up on the stuff I didn't know. Now, you're not here next week.
I'm not traveling.
You're traveling. Okay, what's
DC.
something exciting? Where are you going?
It's very exciting. It's helping promote the Dr. Paul's protocol, PRIZE protocol.
Great, okay.
So,
How's the research project
study's going great.
Great,
We've
good.
had, I'll tell you, collectively, a critical mass of 57 people that are still going hard at their exercise and their nutrition.
All right, so when you get back, we'll pick
Catch
up
up.
on this again.
Yep.
Also check in on the research study. Safe travels.
Thanks.
I'll see you.
See you.
To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.